to you all. My name is Tshilumba, and I'm a third-year international relations student at Africa University, Manicaland, Mutare, Zimbabwe. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Now, today's YouTube video centers upon Africa Union Agenda 2063, Aspiration number 3. Now, the aim of this YouTube video is to critically examine if Africa is on track to achieving Agenda number 2063 within the stipulated time frame. We aim to do this by analyzing some of the challenges that could be hindering Africa from achieving this aspiration within the stipulated time frame. We also look at some of the instances of success and some hope for the democracy of the continent. We also aim at the end at suggesting a few changes that could be made to ensure that the continent achieves this aspiration by 2063. What is AU Agenda 2063's aspiration number 3? Now, it is one of the 7 aspirations that aspires for an Africa of good governance, democracy, rule of law, and human rights respect. Some of the strategies of the African Union for achieving this aspiration include strengthening democratic institutions, promoting a peaceful transition of power and transformative leadership. We're also looking at promoting rule of law and encouraging press freedom. Let's look at Johnson. In the recent October 2024 elections, what happened? There were allegations of election fraud. And then what was the response to that? We see the government sending out police. And what did the police do? The police unleashed violence on the demonstrators. Why? Because they were exercising their constitutional rights. We see about 700 people injured and then about 300 casualties. Is that democracy? Let's look at Rwanda. In the recent elections, Kagame won by 99.9% of the votes. Even if you are a liked president, would you really win by 99.9% of the votes? That's questionable. Not even to mention, let's look at the political dissent, the stifling of political dissent. We see political leaders of the opposition party being illegally detained, illegally arrested, and being barred from campaigning for the election.
Guys, we are almost graduating. What does the future hold for us African youth?
After graduating from college, is securing a job certain?
I want to further my education. Why shouldn't I leave this country to seek other opportunities?
As an aspiring fashion designer who would like to trade in textile all over Africa, how do I get funding for my business?
Trade? Are we even sure of economic stability? As for me, I just want to expand our family farm and set up a food processing company. But how can I easily transport and sell my goods to other African countries?
Have you not heard of Agenda 2063?
What is Agenda 2063?
Agenda 2063 is the master plan for transforming Africa into a global powerhouse of the future by the year 2063 and ensuring that Africa's development is driven by investments that are sustainable and benefits all people, and that development activities will promote unity, self-determination, freedom, progress and collective prosperity pursued under the ideals of Pan-Africanism and the vision of Africa's Renaissance. Do you know Agenda 2063 aims to increase investment in key infrastructure, improved agricultural practices and better management of our natural resources, as well as access to quality health and education to enable Africans to unlock their full potential? And with a well-educated society and empowered people, our communities will thrive as Africans actively participate in decision-making to promote good governance, democracy, respect for human rights, and the right to live in stable and peaceful societies. And a peaceful and secure Africa will provide the right environment we desire for growth and development, productive employment and decent work for all. We can build more world-class infrastructure, sustain industrialization, and foster innovation as we invest in the blue ocean economy, agriculture, advanced technology, transportation, health, renewable energy, commerce, and finance, and even outer space technology, translating into a better standard and quality of living for all African people. The Agenda 2063 promotes a united Africa with a strong cultural identity, common heritage, values and ethics. Agenda 2063 will enable Africa to position itself as a strong, united, resilient and influential global player.
Wow, that is the Africa I want.
That is the Africa I want.
That is the Africa I want.
That is the Africa I want. That is the Africa I want.
This is the Africa we want!
Let us unite to build the Africa we want. Visit www.au.int to learn more about Agenda 2063.
And then we look at Uganda. Yoweri Museveni has been in power for more than 50 years. What has he done? His election campaigns are marred by allegations of electoral fraud. And then when people try to demonstrate and exercise their constitutional rights, what happens? They're met with police brutality. Where are we going as a continent? Is Africa truly democratic? Isn't it ironic, really, that some of the presidents who signed the Africa Union Agenda 2063 are actually some of the people who are hindering it from being realized in time? Look at Kagame, and then look at Yoweri Museveni. They were part of those who signed the declaration and the agreement for the AU Agenda 2063. But why are they not practicing what they preach? To give you a bit of a background, what is the Africa Union Agenda 2063 anyway? The Africa Union Agenda 2063 was initially launched in 2013 when the African heads of state and government met for the 50th year anniversary celebrations of the establishment of the Organization of African Union. It was officially launched in September 2015, and some of its aims are to transform the African continent into a global powerhouse. How? By promoting economic and sustainable development. The question then is Agenda 2063 feasible within the stipulated timeframe? It is no secret that the state of Africa's democracy is rather fragile and is in shambles. We're looking at election fraud. We're looking at stifling dissenting voices. We're looking at police brutality. I think Africa Union Agenda 2063, aspiration number 3, is feasible, but just not within the stipulated timeframe, which is 2063. Not all hope is lost. Let's look at Zimbabwe. Let's look at Botswana. We see peaceful transition of power. We see opposition parties becoming ruling parties. Not all hope is lost for Africa. Let some of the African leaders take a page out of Zambia and Botswana's book. Maybe it will work. Maybe democracy will become an actual realization. Let's look at some of the challenges, shall we? The first challenge, we're looking at the hypocrisy of the African heads of state. They say one thing, then they do the other. They sign the AU Agenda 2063, but what do? They are not promoting democracy. Number two, we're looking at liberation movements that have turned into ruling parties. These liberation movements turned ruling parties feel entitled. They feel entitled to power. They feel they have the right to hold on to power because they're the ones that lead the nation into liberation. And then number three, we look at neo-colonialism. We are looking at some African governments that are puppet rulers. For example, for countries like France, we look at Cameroon, we look at Paul Biya, who's been in power for more than 4 decades. What has he done? Nothing much. We can only say he's a puppet of the French government. He only works for the interest of the French government, and the rest doesn't really matter to him. Let's look at some of the suggestions to address this issue. We want Africa to be able to achieve this agenda. Maybe not in 2063, but we still do want Africa to achieve this agenda. Number one, some of the suggestions include the decoloniality of power. We look at countries like Cameroon that have puppet rulers installed. If we decolonize the power, we decolonize the politics, then just maybe the future leaders to come will have democracy promotion at the top of their agenda. Number two, we look at active youth involvement in political matters. Most of the African leaders are old people. Why can we not involve the youth? Let's involve the youth. I am sure they have a lot of ideas that can use to improve Africa's democratic situation. And lastly, it would be nice to have African heads of state who are willing and ready to practice what they preach. Ladies and gentlemen, I end this YouTube video by asking you a question. What do you think? Can Africa reach its Agenda 2063 goals, aspiration number 3 in 2063? Tell me what you think down in the comments.